Hey guys, Electro Ninja here, and welcome back to Electro Ninja's Lab. In today's video, we are going to be talking about a relatively new anime, but also relatively new light novel. That's right, guys. For once, we are not going to be talking about a show that there's a manga for. While there is a manga for this show, it's not what I was introduced to first. I was introduced to the light novel first, and that is Restaurant to Another World. Now, I've only been watching the show, really. I have started reading the light novel, but you know me. I'm slow with reading light novels, but really fast at reading manga. um, so what exactly is this show? Well, quite simply, it's about these characters working at a restaurant, but it's not necessarily about them. Each episode tackles two characters, and or sometimes a bit more, but usually two characters as they are introduced to the restaurant and how they are enjoying all of the whatever dish that they decide to have at the restaurant. And the main characters of this story are the owner of the restaurant, um, which I always forget what his name is, but everyone calls him Master, so that's what I'm gonna call him. I don't actually know what his name is. Um, and the other is this young demon girl who just so happens to uh, not be able to get a job, and because of that, she had to start working for uh, for the master. I always why can't I remember his name? Um, but anyways, this this series is just tons of fun. I would compare it to something like Food Wars, except that Food Wars isn't ecchi, while this has, I want to say, less uh, fan service than most shows. Like, it's considerably less. Like, I think My Hero Academia has more fan service than this does. I I'm trying to think of a show that has less, and the only one that pops into my mind is Promise Neverland, and that's because of the fact that that's about children. If there was fan service in that, we would have an issue. So, yeah. So if you're not a huge fan of the whole fan service genre, then this might be a good option for you, especially because of the fact that it talks a lot about food and um, honestly, it's not the best show to watch on an empty stomach, but you see how all of these different food items help make these characters better and better. Um, just as an example, um, some of the characters have awful lives. Like there's this one lion person who is forced to fight in a coliseum, and because of that, he has no other option but to uh, fight. But the restaurant helps him have a reason to live, so he will actually fight to actually be the best one and continue to go to this restaurant. And it's similar stories like that throughout the entire show, with other characters getting introduced that don't necessarily have a lot of plot introduced, but each of them is important for some reason or another. Um, in fact, one of the characters that gets introduced later in the show is a dragon who has been alone for so long and now is able to experience the whole idea of food for once in her life, and it's surprising. there's tons of interesting characters, like I said, and if, like I said, if you're not a huge fan of fan service, then this might be a good show for you. Like early on, I think there was two fan service moments in the first episode, and then there wasn't any for like several episodes, and it's kind of like that. Like every now and again, there will be one episode where there's some fan service, like, but it's the equivalent to something like Robotech, where where a character is taking a shower and that's about it. Nothing more, nothing less. And well, okay, less obviously, but nothing more. So, and there's also a few other times, but most of those are actually explained due to the fact that that certain magic just doesn't work. So, yeah, definitely something that is interesting, and you really get to feel how these characters are living, even though there technically aren't any real main characters. You understand all of the trials that all of these characters went through. And yeah, you may not remember any of their names by the end of the show, but getting the chance to actually look at these characters and understand what they've been through is absolutely an amazing time. So, if you guys want to see this show or read the light novel, then I absolutely do suggest that you do. And that's another thing. I once said that we need more manga and in bookstores and stuff like that, and basically it's over here in the West. We need more manga. And this is actually the perfect example of why we need more manga. A lot of the time, the only way that shows or manga can get any street cred is through YouTubers like me who take the time out of our busy schedules and we devote some time to tell you guys about some of our favorite shows that you might not have heard of. But with a bookstore, you can go to this place and find some book that you would never have imagined that, oh yeah, this is amazing. I can't believe I didn't know about this and nobody told me. And that was what happened with me and Restaurant to Another World. I was looking for some manga. I think I was looking for Promised Neverland, actually, and I just glance and see this little book, this relatively big book that says Restaurant to Another World. Now, and of course, flip to the back and see this really interesting story that, honestly, I fell in love with this story just from reading the back. And then when I read the prologue, which I have read the prologue, surprisingly, and that's like the only thing that I've read in this, I realized I need to watch this because it will really help you to understand how much you will enjoy these things. And honestly, I do suggest if you guys are trying to find new series that you want to enjoy, then absolutely go down to a bookstore. If they have manga, check out a few. See if there's any cool ones that you can read. Maybe sit down in their lobby or whatever and be like, oh, yeah, this is really interesting. Maybe I should go check out the anime. And the same can go for if you go to a library. Some libraries will have manga or light novels that will interest you. And I suggest checking them out if you get the chance. Unfortunately, for some reason, many bookstores and libraries do not consider anime to be good. And it's sad. So, unfortunately, until we get actual people realizing how awesome these shows are, we're going to have to wait and see what exactly comes of this, and us YouTubers will continue to have to tell you guys about some of our favorite shows. But anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think of Restaurant to Another World down in the comments below, And if you are old enough, then and then I do suggest checking out uh, Food Wars, but only watch that if you're over 18 and most likely by yourself because it's an ecchi. So be aware of that. So because both of these shows are very similar, and of course, go check out a bookstore. See if you can find some of these awesome books and let me know some of your favorite shows that I may not have heard of. But anyways, guys, I've been Electro Ninja, and I will see you guys next time. But on.